FormAWin for over 4 months now.
Part of the FormAWin community for a couple months now.
I just got my first internship.
I just landed my first internship.
Biggest thing I want you guys to do is take one thing away from today and make sure you implement it, change your life.
100% directly resulted in me getting an internship offer.
Mike, it's a pleasure, man. Thank you for inviting me on.
1,000%. How's the day been for you?
It's been very busy. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
100%. I know you're an engineering supervisor. I can't wait to hear your story, but I know all you guys run around like crazy doing a lot of work. So, I mean, I have a lot of respect for it. It takes a lot, especially, kind of earning that. So it's great to have you here. You've been doing this a long time. I mean, I'm super excited to hear about your whole journey. I'm sure everybody else is too. So why don't we open up? Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So again, my name is Davis Booth, and I got into engineering kind of in a more unconventional way. I didn't go back to school to get my degree until I was 35. And so I came up through the tech ranks. I was an electronic technician in the Navy, and my first position outside of the service was as an electronic technician for a contract manufacturer. And so I did that for several years. Then, life kind of got in the way. I had a family, got married, had kids. And I did that for a while. And I got promoted into engineering without a degree. And I did that for a couple of years, but I was kind of pigeonholed into that one company because I didn't have the piece of paper saying that I was a degree. So I was kind of stuck there. And it wasn't until I went back to school, got my degree, that then more doors started to open up for me. And that's where I kind of pivoted from just general contract manufacturing and electronics into aerospace. So after that, it was all about momentum, right? I had my degree, more doors were opening. I got my first opportunity to work at NASA as a contractor on the Roman Space Telescope, which again, amazing experience. I did that for a couple of years, and when that project was wrapped up, again, some more momentum had built up, and I parlayed that into a position here at Cape Canaveral, working for United Launch Alliance. And before I know it, I was sitting console for a couple of different launches for the Vulcan launches and a couple of Atlas launches. And then for whatever reasons, sitting console is very, very stressful. It takes a certain type of personality to sit in that seat. And needless to say, I wasn't cut out for that. That wasn't really, it just wasn't my lane, honestly. So I ended up had a lot of momentum at that point, a lot more experience, and I parlayed to a position here at Extant Aerospace where I saw an opportunity to get into engineering management. And I was going for, at the time, my master's degree at Johns Hopkins University for engineering management. So it just felt like a good opportunity, a good chance to try to switch hats, going from, again, I've worked on some amazing projects where I've just about all the coolest things you could think of as an engineer. It was kind of my time. I'm 47 years old. It was kind of my time to start giving back, right? So started getting into more of a management supervisory role. And then I would say here, as of late, I've done a lot more mentorship online. And so, yeah, that's my story, man. That's where I'm at right now. I'm at Extant. I'm loving it. Lots of challenges. And I meet really, really cool people every day.
I love it. Yeah. I mean, that's an incredible story, especially like that's one of the biggest things I love kind of seeing is like some maybe unorthodox ways of getting started in engineering. So I would definitely respect that, right? Because obviously you're sharp, you have the edge, and you're really good at what you do, and you're able to stand out like in there no matter what it was. Like you didn't let that like stop you. Obviously, a lot of people maybe put themselves in a box and like they would just not even try to do things, right? So like,
oh yeah, 100%.
So and then like you recently became engineering supervisor, right? Like is that what
I did? I did.
I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment. Why don't you talk to us about that? And like,
yeah, sure. So I was at Extant, and again, I loved it. It was a great opportunity working here, but I started getting a lot of offers from other companies. I was just about to move to Arizona to work for a company called Moog. Some people pronounce it Moog. Moog. They're a huge outfit, and so yeah, I was prepared to move, and my family, we were all ready to go. And when I put in my notice with my current company and let them know that I was moving on to another opportunity, that's when they came back and said, we know you're doing mentorship on the side. We know the type of leader you could be. They offered me a new position that didn't even exist. They kind of created it for me, being in charge of all the test engineers. And right now I have 11 engineers that I'm responsible for. And so again, everything just kind of lined up. That's one thing I've figured out as I've gotten older. I tend not to force situations anymore. It seems like when you're prepared and you have momentum, that things just kind of fall into place. And again, I would have panicked or freaked out 10, 15 years ago, but as I've gotten older, I've kind of realized you just kind of have to let things work themselves out in due time.
I love it. Yeah. And I mean, like all that is just from you, being awesome and then just preparing and then things just float your way. So yeah, so I mean, I love that. That's really cool. I have some really
Yeah.
specific questions, and then like me for everybody watching, when you interview someone really cool or really awesome, you want to make sure you take your time and think of some questions. So I got some specific things for you. So from your experience working with interns and early career engineers, what actually separates the interns who receive return offers, okay, from the ones who don't? What have you seen?
Yeah, so definitely attention to detail. That I can't stress that enough. I mean, when you're an intern and you're working at a facility, you are constantly being evaluated, whether you know it or not. And so if you ask a question, I mean, how quickly do you, not just get the answer, but put the answer in practice? Are you the type of person that has to ask the same question twice? Are you the type of person that is taking notes, or do you just kind of have like a bias for action? You take that answer and you run with it, right? And so you're really, I mean, again, these answers are kind of hard because they're very generic. Every company has a ideal candidate that they're looking for. I mean, some companies are very structured and they want a calm and steady person to take that position. And other companies like myself, it's kind of chaotic. We're fast moving. You got to be able to switch tasks at a heartbeat. So we want somebody who really, really has a strong bias for action. So it's important that you can read the room, right? Know what you're getting into. And if you enjoy that kind of work and you want to be there after school, then kind of fit that vibe and make yourself useful. When you leave that internship, did you leave something of value on the table? That's how you know you're going to get. I mean, companies don't get rid of investment. If you put something in, that's an investment, right? And they're going to want you back. So that's the biggest thing I can say.
Love it. I love it. I mean, again, everybody watch, take some notes, apply some of this stuff. It's really cool. So thank you for your answer. That's really good. Now, the next thing is kind of like leveling up a little bit. So let's just say we're in the first 30 days of an internship. What behaviors immediately signal to you that an intern is going to be successful? Like just the first 30 days.
Yeah. So, what kind of projects are they starting to take on themselves? Are you the type of person that in your first 30 days, are you still kind of figuring things out? Or are you already asking for more on your plate, right? Most places, we're going to start you off with some basic tasks and see how you do. Or are you the type of person that just does those tasks and just kind of just sits there, and then has to wait for somebody to come give you something else to do, and then you do that, you just kind of sit there? Or are you just constantly asking for more challenges, more responsibility? So yeah, you can tell right away. I mean, you can tell right away if a person's going to be a good fit. At the same time, I've seen interns that have really shot themselves in the foot because they come into a position and that they kind of act like they already know everything.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of entitlement, a little bit of ego. God, that is horrible in an internship, right? You don't want to see that. I mean, you're going to want somebody that has a lot to learn, and so therefore you want that mindset.
So, like something with that is like, so when interns are starting, like my question is like, how did we get to this point? Because I'd love for the norm to just be that everybody's exceptional, right? Like kind of doing just the like good things as you said. And then we have to think of something else to become even more exceptional, right? Like
Right.
how do you think we get to that point to maybe kind of normalize that level of excellence or that standard? I mean, just some food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you have to be a good communicator. You have to be kind of, and in the end, ultimately, this is a people business, right? You're dealing with another human being. And so I think it's very, very important that you communicate what you know, what you don't know. You need to be able to come off as somebody who's eager to learn, and be humble. Again, these are all very, very much soft skills that I'm talking about here, but it's very, very important that you are somebody that I want to hire, I would want to work with, you know? I'm not going to work with somebody that I can't get along with or that I can't trust to do a task. Or one of the most refreshing things, I'll be honest with you, one of the most refreshing things that intern can tell me is that they don't know. I ask you a question, can you do this? I don't know. I've never done that before. That's refreshing. What I don't want to hear is somebody who tries to give me an answer and it's just very surface level and they act like they know everything. Because an experienced engineer, we're going to ask you some detailed questions. And if you can't go deep, then we know you're BSing us, right? So just be honest and admit where you are. You are a new engineer. You are a new intern. I do not expect you to know about any of the tools that I'm using or any of our processes. It's very, how can I say it? Be humble and be willing to say, I don't know.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, that's super critical. And especially with communication, that's actually my next question. What does strong communication look like for, new interns or interns? Like, what does that look like on a day-to-day basis, week-to-week basis? Like, what does a strong communication system look like?
Oh, sure. So if I come in the morning, I'm gonna want somebody that feels like they can come up to me, ask me, "Hey, how was your night? How things are going? Check in with me." We'll come up with a plan. If you have questions, I would expect to see you within another hour or two at lunch. Again, we're starting a relationship here. Come see me at lunch. I want to know what's going on. What you eating for lunch, man? Let's start having not just a business 9 to 5 relationship. I want to know more about you. I want you to know more about me. I mean, we need to have a little bit of investment in this relationship, right? And so that takes asking these again. I mean, not personal questions, but no, not necessarily technical questions either, right? Again, this is a people skill, right? Get to know me. I want to get to know you. It's gonna make the job a lot better. You're going to be more apt to come up to me when you have questions, when you know that I know your backstory. I know a little bit about you. I've told you a little bit about me. Uh, you want to be a type of person that's very approachable and outgoing for sure.
Awesome. I love that. And that's important, like for the interns and then also just any relationship, right?
Yeah.
What's been some big maybe like relationship things that you've done or like some strong things that you like implement to build relationships with people or business partners or other engineers or other people? Like what are some other things that you've done?
Oh, one of the big things I like to do, and especially I'm doing right now with my team, is we go to lunch. It's something as simple as that. Like when we go to lunch, we do not talk about work. And before I took over this team, you had pretty much 11 engineers kind of doing their own thing that they didn't really hang out together. It was like they had issues that needed resolved and they had a lot of the same complaints, but they were kind of siloed, right? And a lot of them, to be honest, they have told me they were pretty miserable in their job. But when you start going to lunch and you get a little bit of a fellowship going on, you can relate to other people's problems. It makes it a lot more enjoyable, man. And again, if I know you're struggling and we can talk about this outside of work, it's going to make your job easier. It's going to make my job easier. So again, building a team is all about communication. And another thing that I've kind of told these guys is, you need to be looking at junior engineers. You need, from day one, when you build a team, you need to find somebody that you feel like could take your shoes. And you need to start treating them like they are eventually going to be in your position, right? Because all of us, the idea is we're going to climb the ladder, right? And so you need somebody to be prepared to step in your shoes. And one thing I hate to hear from engineers is somebody to say, well, that's not really my job. My job is just to do this right here. That's a horrible mindset, man.
Yeah.
You always need to be thinking about, like every one of those 11 guys need to be thinking about what I'm doing and how I do my job. How can they do my job better than what I can? Eventually, somebody's going to be sitting in that seat.
Yep.
And so I preach that from the get-go, right? I am cultivating 11 guys to take my spot at any given moment.
I love that. Yeah. Like, unfortunately, I've heard that a lot too from a lot of people. That's not my job. That's not my responsibility. Like, I've heard that my whole life in, various positions, internships, engineering, not engineering. It like it's strange, but it's also like it's very, very critical. So I'm glad that you brought that up because that's, that's really important for everybody watching to think about, right? Like, is that the first thing that you think of when you go to work? Is it not your job or is this your career that you're looking to build and grow? So thank you for that, Davis. I love that. The
Yeah.
next thing for you is, in terms of an intern building credibility, maybe like rapport, trying to get a return offer, or just make a name for themselves in their company, right? What are some mistakes that you see them make that hurt that credibility?
Yeah, sure. So again, it goes back to ego, and sometimes if you don't understand a process, right? Um, and I give you a task to do, and next thing I know, you're off over here. You're digging into something that's not necessarily what I gave you to do, and you haven't asked the right questions, and you're starting to try to change things. Or the worst thing you can do as an intern is start, talking bad about the processes that already exist in this company. That's horrible. You can't do that, man. It takes a guy who's been in that, or a girl who's been in that position for a couple of years to even understand why some of those processes are the way they are. You can't come in as an intern and think you're going to change the culture of an organization when you don't even really understand the culture and why they are the way they are. So be mindful when you first start a position like that, what you say about why things are done and how things are done.
I love that. That's really important. And, that's not something that I think is talked about quite a bit. I definitely see some people come in and do some things that you've mentioned in a lot of different areas. So if you kind of go in with that mindset, that's a little bit different. So that's unique. I like that. My next tip for you is initiative, right? Initiative is super critical, but maybe there's a line to draw. Maybe there's not a line to draw. Like, what does healthy initiative look like for somebody when they're starting out intern? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so healthy initiative would be going up to whoever it is that's mentoring you at the time and consistently ask, what can they do to help the situation? What can I do to help you out? What is it you need help with? What is it something you feel comfortable giving me to take off your plate, right? That's helpful initiative. So you're doing your task you're assigned and you're coming back asking for more. That's what you want. Again, kind of back to the story I just said, you don't want to start going in the weeds on something that you think needs to be done or needs to be fixed and you haven't asked the correct questions. That's bad initiative, right? In your mind, you might think you're fixing something, but if you don't know all the pieces and you're not 100% aligned with the task at hand, you're going to get in problems.
Love it. I love it. Thank you for that. Since something else with interns and, taking on the initiative that I've seen is maybe not a lot of them take on enough or they're too scared to ask. Have you seen that?
Oh, yes, 100%. And again, you're really hurting yourself, right? Because you're being judged for that bias for action. You want an employee that has a bias for action. And so if you don't have that type of relationship with me, you might be timid. You might be the smartest guy, or girl, you might be dedicated and everything else. But if you don't feel like you can approach the right person and ask for more, you're really hurting yourself, you know? And that's how you're going to get people to recognize the good work that you're doing is if you do more work.
Yeah. Yeah. So another question for you is what's been your maybe favorite or maybe have you seen best performing intern that you've seen? And then what's been an example of maybe a less performing or, not as exceptional intern that you've seen? Two examples.
Yeah, sure. So the best performing interns that I've seen, we currently work with them. Those are the people that have the offers, and those are your junior engineers. And again, those are people that are craving mentorship. They're eager for it. We call it what it is. It's coaching, it's mentorship, right? It's even if you're not in my group, let's say, for instance, I'm in charge of all the test engineers where I work at. There's several young manufacturing engineers where I work at that have a good enough relationship with me. They'll come ask me about their job just so they know I've been in the business for such a long time. I've kind of seen it all. And, they respect my opinion. So that is huge, right? When you have senior people you can go to that you have built that kind of relationship that you can pick their brain. All right. At the same time, the worst ones are, again, the ones that kind of badmouth the processes, badmouth the people. They come in with a little bit of ego. They act like they know better ways of doing things without necessarily getting their. Listen, process improvement, continuous process improvement is really big in engineering, but there's a right way to do that and a wrong way to do that. And you don't do that coming into a brand new organization that you really haven't done your homework and understand why things are the way they are. So again, It's all about communication. It's all about building relationships, staying on task, and again, making sure that you are being seen by senior engineers as somebody that can get job done and who's willing to learn and who's humble and who will take that kind of mentorship.
Awesome. Have you ever seen like not a bad intern, but have you ever seen someone like from like a sour situation turn into like a really positive situation?
No, I have not. Not in my case. And even in the position where I am now, you have to do some discipline and you have to write things up. And unfortunately, when things start to go south, it is very hard to use corrective actions or coaching to fix that. And I
Yeah.
wish that wasn't the case, but a lot of times that's a good sign that it's just not going to work out. And I'm not going to say that it can't ever happen. It's just in my experience, it's been far and few between.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I'm just curious about that for sure because I've definitely seen the same kind of thing with you, where like if there's something sour, it's probably a sign. So, yeah, I love that.
And just so you know, for all your viewers out there, companies have a motto that they like to say: they hire slow and fire fast. So they're going to take their time trying to get the best candidate, the best pick. But at the same time, if you're not going to work, they're going to quickly try to get cut that as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. 1,000%. I've seen it done. I've seen it. My next thing for you is, for interns, now we're looking at like maybe return offers and how that looks, right? At what point does a return offer start forming or start getting generated? Is that like at the end of the internship? Where should people start picking up signals maybe?
Oh, the first couple of weeks, man. First couple of weeks, you start seeing a smile on your supervisor's face, or again, those conversations start getting a little deeper at lunch, a little more friendlier in the mornings, in the afternoons, to check in with you. You can tell quickly whether or not you're doing a good job or a bad job. And if you want that offer, not only are you getting that smile, you're building that network, but you should see something tangible that you're doing, that they're giving you something that you know is going to be valued to that company. Because internships aren't just about, hey, go get me coffee, right? They're going to give you something that they don't have time to do, usually a project on the side that they need. And so if you can do that, see it through to completion, and again, at the same time, you built those relationships, you're going to be in a really good spot to get an offer.
I love it, 1,000%. Yeah, no, and like I've seen that done too, where sometimes interns don't want to do something because they just don't feel like doing it. Or the other side of it is that they kind of think about that in like the same way that you did, where it's like, okay, like this is obviously something, that's like super helpful, super beneficial, and they just don't have time to do it. I love that. That's a really good point. To kind of finish out here, I want to see if there's anything else you want to share. One other big piece of advice: definitely share where everybody can find you. I definitely want everybody to get connected with you. So just anything closing, anything else you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, I think I want to encourage everybody to realize that when it comes to getting an internship or getting your first offer, there's a lot of randomness to this. Okay. Ultimately, companies are looking at you, and because you don't have experience, this is less about a skill fit and it's going to be more about a behavioral fit. I mean, you all have, and again, I deal with engineers, so you all have engineering degrees. Some of you might have had a couple of internships that are related, maybe not. Some of you might have used a couple tools that maybe my company uses, maybe not. But for the most part, you're all kind of level. And so the randomness occurs because you don't know what that hiring manager is looking for at that time. They might have just filled two positions before the one they're filling now with really senior guys. And so they can take a chance now on a young guy that they can spend some time with. At the same time, they might have a business unit that's screaming down their neck for a particular type of skill set, maybe an RF guy or a digital guy, and you don't know if you ever fit that mold, right? So there's a lot of randomness to it. It's not necessarily you. You have to be the type of person that realizes that, right? When you go into these things and you get rejected, you got to think of it as an opportunity, right? You met some people. You learn a little bit about a company. You never know next time around if you're going to have another chance at this. These are relationships you don't want to burn. These are opportunities, every one of them. More people you can meet, the bigger network you can build, the better off you're going to be. And then the last thing I would say is this. It's very, very important that you put yourself out there. in the beginning, nobody knows who you are. You have no name whatsoever. You have zero momentum. And so social media is a great place that you can really put yourself out there, whether you're posting about your projects, points of view from a college student, topics that you're having issues with, you're struggling with, collaborating with other people, but it's content, and put it out there and do it consistently and build your LinkedIn network. If you do that, what starts off as maybe a simple project turns into now a chance to volunteer on somebody else's project, chance to maybe do an internship that's not paid at another place, which then turns into maybe a paid internship, a chance to get a new job. Nobody just works at NASA. Nobody gets a job just launching rockets. It's momentum, and it builds up over time. And so you have to stack these wins. But if you don't even start, if you're scared to even put yourself out there, man, you're not going to get anywhere. So you just got to get started and keep your head up and just realize there's a lot of randomness to it. And yeah, man, you'll be surprised at what you get. I can't stress this enough that there are literally tons of jobs out there going on in the field. There are people struggling to find the right fit, and you might be the right fit. And so you have to put yourself out there and give yourself a chance.
Thank you so much for that, Davis. That was incredible. I couldn't have said that better myself at all. That's definitely some great advice for everybody watching. Take action on that. Rewatch that. Re-listen to that. Davis, where can they find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn. That's where I try to post usually something daily on there, and I recommend you check that out. I do offer some services, whether it's resume reviews or LinkedIn reviews, or if you just want to sit down with a 15-minute chat. I'm pretty booked up. I usually stay booked up about a month out, but if it's something I can do, again, sometimes a quick 15-minute session can get you realigned. Whether it's just using my own network of people that I know, or maybe sometimes people just need a little bit of a boost. At the same time, some people just need a little kick in the butt too to kind of get going. So again, I'm there. I have resources available in the feature section of my LinkedIn profile. So if you need me, I'm available.
Awesome. Davis, thank you so much. And then for everybody watching, we're going to go hop in the Q&A in the community here. So feel free to join us for a little bit. And Davis, thank you so much for coming. See you all.
Thank you.